This is Module 3, Lesson 9. We're going to subtract fractions from numbers that start between 1 and 2. So they are numbers that are greater than 1 whole. So we have here 1 and 1/3 minus 1/2. We need to make sure that when we're subtracting, we're still using our models. They want us to draw them. So the first thing I have to do is ask myself, what exactly is 1 and 1/3? Well, I have 1 whole. So I'm going to draw my first rectangle. I'm going to have 1 whole. And then I'm going to have some piece left over for 1 and 1/3. Since my denominator is 3, I'm going to split both of my rectangles into thirds. Now I'm going to shade in 1 and 1/3. So to shade in 1 and 1/3, I need to highlight one whole entire box. That's my 1. And then I'm going to shade in 1/3 of my second box, and now I have 1 and 1/3 shaded. So now I have to subtract 1/2, so I need to draw a rectangle that represents 1/2. And in the second rectangle, instead of drawing my lines vertically, I draw them horizontally. And now I need to shade in 1/2. So now I've shaded in both of them. And now just like I did with regular subtraction and addition, I need to now draw my lines going the opposite direction. So I need to take this half from over here, and I need to put that line in here, and that line in here. I'm going to back up a second and just write that that had represented 1 and 1/3, and that had represented 1/2. And now just like I put in my half, I have to put in my third lines going vertically over here in my half. So now I'm going to look at my pictures and write what my new fractions are. The trick here is I have to look, yes, I have 2 rectangles here, but I'm only looking at what is shaded, so I'm going to count that up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I have 8 what? Right here, one whole has 6 in it, so I'm talking about 6. So I have 8/6 because my whole tells me what my denominator is. Then I go over here and I see that I have 1, 2, 3 out of 6. So those are my new fractions. So I'm going to write my new problem, which will be 8/6 minus 3/6. And yes, many of you see that you can just subtract it, and I get 5/6. But I have to be able to show it in my picture. Now to show it in my picture, once again I count. I have 1, 2, 3, 6, and I have to take that away from this picture. So I cross that out. 1, 2, 3, 6. And how many pieces are left that are shaded that are not crossed out? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is how I get 5/6. Next example we'll go with, which is 1 and 1/5 minus 1/3. This tells me that I'm going to need 2 rectangles to represent that. So we know that will be for my 1 and 1/5. And I'll only need 1 rectangle for my 1/3. So that will represent my 1/3. First thing I'm going to do is look at my first set of rectangles. And I notice that I need to work with fifths. So I'm going to split them up vertically into fifths. Both rectangles will be split up into fifths. And then on my other one, I need to split, I notice, into thirds, so I go horizontally thirds. Now I'm going to shade in, and when I shade it in, I have to do 1 whole, and then I have to do 1/5. And then over here, I have to do 1/3. Now, before I even go and change this and add other lines, it might be easier for me to notice that here I have a total of 6/5. That's what's going on. I have 1 whole, which is 5/5. This whole is 5/5, and then 1 more is 6/5. So now I have to take my thirds and put them in. And I have to take my fifths and put those in. And now I'm working out of 15ths, we noticed. And I'm working out of 15ths over here as well. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 15ths. And over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 15ths. So those 5 shaded 15ths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have to X out in this part of my picture. And now I write my new sentence, which is 18 15ths minus 5 15ths, and that gets me to 13 15ths. And I can count that up by saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 15ths. And that is how I get my answer. One last one that we'll do together. We're going to, once again, 2 rectangles. I need to split them into half. And, oop, we're going to back up actually, because as I said before, we should always go vertical first, just to make it consistent. So we're going to draw our 2 rectangles again, and we have our halves. And then over here, I'm going to draw my other rectangle, which is thirds. We're going to shade them in. So I'm going to shade in 1 whole and a half. And that represents 1 1/2 or 3 halves, I can see. And then over here, I'm going to shade in 2 thirds and write 2 thirds. Now I'm going to write my other lines in, my my horizontals, and then my verticals. And I notice now I'm working out of sixths, and over here I have 9/6. And over here I have 4/6. So my new problem is 9/6 minus 4/6. And so now we're going to go through. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I cross off 1, 2, 3, 4, and I end up with 5/6. And that is how I subtract numbers that are greater than 1 but less than 2.